Give guys a few minutes to come in before I kick it off here. A minute, we'll kick off the awards. All right. Welcome to Gmfl pre-draft special. Uh, we've got one guy in here. I'm not sure who's in here, but we're gonna kick it off, man. First off, good season. We got through it. No real hiccups. I know we had a little issue in the playoffs. But overall it was a good season. Yes, I won the Super Bowl. Played Sweets. I was lucky to be in the Super Bowl after my 2 games. What up? What up? What up, Mickey? I was lucky to be in there. I won in overtime versus the Titans. Pulled out a game with a second left versus Mickey. So, but Super Bowl wise, my team it was just one of those games, man. My defense was good anyways, but they were just locked in on fire, and Sweets guys it just wasn't, it was just one of those games. Madden wise, you get it, and my team was locking them down. Unfortunately, we got disconnected thanks to EA like halfway through the third quarter or so. But Sweets gave up the W. The only real other option is that, or you play maybe a half and then basically, see if you can beat me by 17, or tie me at 17, or beat me by 17 in a half. But so it was, we'd like to finish the game, but unfortunately that's the way it went. But enough about that. Let's kick it off. We'll touch on the awards that happened. MVP, Matthew Stafford. Pause over there with Stafford. We showed his stats. He had a great year. I want to say 37 touchdowns, but it was those INTs. There's guys with the same touchdowns, but he just didn't have the interception numbers that a lot of us put up. So congratulations to him. Of course, Matt Jones is right there. At number 2, I'm pretty sure he's won league MVP twice. So, a down year for him, finishing second. Williamson, that dude's a stud, finishing third. I'm not going to go through everyone that had a chance. Let's see, Coach of the Year, I'm pretty sure was Sweets. He went undefeated. Yep, Coach of the Year was Sweets. Let's see, AFC-wise, your Offensive Player of the Year was Williamson, Dolphins running back. Your Defensive Player of the Year was Khalil Mack. Leonard Floyd up there already, now that he's a Raven. Your Offensive Rookie of the Year was Prude, the wide receiver that Titans took in the draft. The new guy really took advantage of him. The guy's got like 97 Excel. Chapman was right there. Dancer was a guy who probably could have won it if he stayed healthy, but he went down for about 4 or 5 weeks. Defensive Rookie of the Year was Stubblefield. That guy's a stud. All these guys up here are incredibly good, but Stubblefield was a beast. He had a huge year for the Chiefs. Best QB, of course, Stafford. Your MVP. Best running back, Williamson. Best wide receiver was Veltung for Pause. With the Jets, offensive lineman was me. Defensive lineman, Akins, my defensive lineman. Linebacker was Khalil Mack. DB, you had Eric Berry for the Chiefs. Kicker, okay. We'll roll over to the NFC. Offensive Player of the Year, you had Matt Jones. Defensive Player of the Year, Bobby Wagner. Offensive Rookie of the Year was Arkin, the running back for Seahawks. Defensive Rookie of the Year, you had Nate Albright. That was a linebacker. I think he moved him. It shows him as an end on his roster, but the guy was a linebacker, I know, in the draft. But that was your Defensive Rookie of the Year. Rodgers, that stud corner, ended up being second right there. So, best QB, Teddy Bridgewater. Best running back, Matt Jones. Best receiver, Beckham, had a huge year. Kafka had a good year, the rookie for Puba. Unfortunately, the record doesn't speak for it, and Ravens has benefited with his picks this season. But Beckham with a monster year. Trent Williams, Offensive Lineman of the Year. D lineman of the year, Darden. This is now this will be, it was a second year guy. That guy's a beast for the Panthers. Linebacker of the year, Bobby Wagner. DB of the year, Eli Apple. Had a good year for Puba, and then yeah, we're not going to worry about kickers. So there's your awards. I mean, you guys have probably already checked them, but you know that's where things went. Like I said, we had a good year. You know, we got a couple newer guys here later towards the end of the year, but you know, we got draft tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So roughly, four and a half hours from now. So, couple things. I'm gonna also tag everybody in the chat here later when we advance at 7:30 to the end of free agency. But I'll say it, and I'll say it again when I'm done here. I would like, make sure you first check that you're going to be going or not going to the draft on the calendar, please. If you do that, if you're not going, it helps me. I could slap you on auto, and we'll be good for the draft. I can also keep tabs, so the guys that are here, we don't have to wait, you know, an extra 5 minutes throughout the draft per guy who's not here, or 10 minutes, or whatever it may be. So, if you could do that. As for the draft, first round, there will probably be some guys I'm sure that, you know, I don't know for sure if they're there or not. First round, you're going to get your full time for your pick. I won't skip anybody other than the guys who may be already on auto that I know won't be there. Once we hit second round, if you didn't make your pick and the time ran out on you, and I weren't sure if you were going to be there or not, you will be getting skipped in the second round. Once we get to rounds 5 and on, we're going to 30 seconds a pick. This is to speed things up so we can get through it. I mean, it's 9 o'clock Eastern time on a Saturday. I'm sure some of you maybe want to get this done and get out of the house. I mean, 8 o'clock Eastern, so some of you guys want to get this done, maybe go out for a bit. We all want to get this done. We don't want to spend 2 or 3 hours on the draft. Still have the preseason to deal with. So the faster we can get through, that's going to be great. But again, like I said, I will tag all this in the chat beforehand as well, so you'll get a chance to hear it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I've got which will be the final mock. Obviously, our draft is in 5+ hours, so or 4 hours. I said 4+ hours. So let's kick it off. I don't know. There's no deals, any more deals that I know of. So everything should be intact in terms of the order. I went through these with actually Dustin, which is the Colts. No guarantee, no Garan. We went through them last night and did picks. Poop's been busy working and living that young man's life. So he goes out and hangs out at his girlfriend's house, or they still do stuff. So yeah, we'll kick it off. So first up, number 1, first overall pick on the board will be the Philadelphia Eagles. You got K. Bush. He has, we talked about it. You look at Wentz, and this isn't necessarily K. Bush's fault because he didn't have, first year the guy that had him was 0-16, I want to say 0-1-15. That's never good for the development. He didn't have a good year, period. It wasn't like they were close games. So Wentz, this is a guy who's now 26. He's 85 short, 83 medium, 76 deep, and you're going to have a hard time increasing those unless you have big games because of his age and the way the XP figures in on these games, thanks to Madden. We could see maybe going a receiver here, but I think you put a better quarterback, maybe. Those are those receivers you could get you can get around with. A defensive back wouldn't be bad here as well, but I don't know if there's necessarily anyone Madden-wise that they say you'd want to take up here at the number 1 spot. So that being said, we both agreed he goes Lester Wayne, the quarterback out of Auburn. The way he's built, what is this guy? This guy's going to be the Madden Cam clone, basically. I want to say the guy, his combine, obviously I didn't scout quarterbacks, but his combine, he had some good combine numbers. So Lester Wayne, quarterback, Auburn. Second pick is the Baltimore Ravens via the New York Giants, thanks to Puva. Puva traded away this year's picks for last year's picks. He had a good draft last year, don't get me wrong. So I mean, it benefited him there. It's just you're not, now you're not drafted in this. He had a bad year, and Ravens, which is a good team, 13-3. He's been solid. Has the second overall pick. So, and that's the thing. He's a good team. We talked about it. He's got a good line. Obviously he's got Dyer. That guy's a beast back there at running back. You could see maybe a cornerback here. The guys aren't bad, but he doesn't really have a stud. But again, I don't necessarily know if I see anyone taking a cornerback at 2 this year. His safeties are good. Linebackers are solid. The D-line, I mean, maybe a receiver, but his receivers overalls don't pop out. But if you look at him, he's got a bunch of very solid receivers. And so, I mean, we look at Hundley. He has Flacco. He doesn't use Flacco. I know he picked up Hundley. It depends. I mean, I know he doesn't mind rolling with him, but he is 26, and like Wentz, I mean, 87 short, 82 medium, 73 deep. It's not a guy you're going to be able to build upon. No, you're not really going to be able to improve upon those numbers too much unless you have just some monster games. Maybe get some player of the weeks, and even then at 26, those XP player of the weeks, instead of being 4,000 or 5,000 or 500. So it's hard to build upon him, and I think for him, if he had a quarterback, a stud quarterback with those receivers, that run game, I mean, that defense, it's just going to add that much more to watch out for. So that being said, we both agree that he goes Stanley Schweigert, quarterback out of Ole Miss. I want to say he was like 6'3", second ranked quarterback on the Madden board. Moving on, we go to Atlanta. We got Poop and the Falcons. We know he traded Julio to Sweets, so NFC, you just had Sweets go undefeated, and now he added Julio, so have fun over there. He made a trade. He picked up Moncrief. I think that's a good deal. 26. I think that's a good solid number 2 guy. He got Aguilar early in the year from me after I picked up a receiver in last year's draft. Aguilar is a good slot guy. He's not necessarily a number 2, but he's a good slot guy. He's got Coates. You got a 4th receiver there. But that being said, I mean, he's talked about it. We know he's going to do it. He's going to go wide receiver. And I think you should. You fill that void of Julio, adding the pieces he added. His defense, I mean, I could kind of, what else is up there? I don't really see making sense for him to go at 3, because he does have, I mean, he has Quan Short, he has Beasley, he has decent, his linebackers are a little weaker, but I don't see him going at number 3 here with what's available. So again, we agree. He goes Denard Lowry, wide receiver, Alabama. 6'6", I want to say 230 or something like that. I mean, I saw this guy on the board when I first opened the scouting pages on I think week 3, and I was like, they're trying to make a Julio. Now, I don't necessarily know if he'll be as good as Julio, obviously, but he's going to be a beast. At number 4, we have the Chargers. That's Sev. Sev's made some good moves. He picked up 2 years ago. He got his quarterback. Last year, he got his running back, Chapman. His line, he signed some guys, obviously. He made some good draft picks. His D-line is not bad. I mean, his linebackers aren't bad. Cornerback, he had Jason Verrett. And he still had, and he went and spent an arm and a leg on Trey Waynes. Safety, he moved Casey Hayward back there as he got older, which isn't a bad play. But look at, I mean, offensively, he's got Keenan Allen. He signed Jamison Crowder, who Sweets let go. Stevens ain't bad, but I mean, I really think you look at that. Crowder's a good receiver, but this is more, I think, of a slot guy. I don't know if you necessarily want him at his size, even though his release and route running is good, is pressing up against the number 2 all day. Or maybe the number 1, depending on how you've got it laid out, the way Madden lays it out. I mean, that guy's going up against the number 1. And you could use more weapons. I mean, Chiefs got a good defense. My defense is good. Ford's always has a good defense, and he's just good at playing defense. So that being said, we both agreed he goes wide receiver, and that will be Antoine Baker. I think you need someone with a little more speed. Allen's solid, but a little bit more of a possession guy. Baker, the faster of the kind of the top 4 or 5 receivers Madden has ranked up there according to their rating. So Antoine Baker, wide receiver out of Wisconsin. I want to say he's about 6'2", runs a 4.40, 4.45 40 or something. So be a good guy to put opposite of Allen. Put Crowder in that slot, and you'd be able to make some things happen. Moving on, we've got the Chicago Bears. That's Decryptic Shadow. It's just short, but he newer. He joined later in the season. Cutler retired. He's happy about that. He's got wide receivers. I mean, he's got playmakers there. He's got a tight end in Millard. Langford. He signed Corey Grant. He could probably go some defense here. Maybe a defensive back. But again, I don't know if you necessarily go one here with where Madden shows. I think the best defensive back is a 2nd round projected rating by Madden. So I don't know if you're going number 5. He needs a quarterback. I mean, he signed Bryce Petty, Mike Glennon, but I don't know if that's who you want rolling into the year is these guys. So we both agreed he goes Rayshawn Staten, quarterback out of Nebraska. He's the number 1 quarterback according to Madden. And it'd be a good fit, I think, here. Give him somebody to throw to these guys. I mean, he's got Alshon's slow, but hold on. Alshon's slower, but he's got Humphreys, the 2nd-year guy. Guy's a burner, 95 speed, 94 speed, 95 excel. Put him in the slot. Curran, that guy's a stud. You can put him kind of at your number 1 or number 2. And then Kevin White, a bigger body, you put outside too. So he's got weapons. So just need someone to throw to him. So we got him going quarterback. Now coming up, we got the Colts. Dustin. He's got back-to-back picks. He moved Von Miller. So he's got the 6th pick, which he got via Green Bay. He traded Vaughn to Green Bay after just 1 year in Indianapolis for a 1st and 2 thirds. I don't think he felt like he was maximizing them, and to be able to get some value add, especially he needed some cap relief. He had no penalty to trade him because he acquired him already in a trade, so the cap penalty had already been eaten by the Broncos. So not a bad deal. He gets the 6th pick. He's got the 7th pick as well already from his own pick. So here, obviously he lost Vaughn. He traded Moncrief, but his wide receivers aren't bad. I don't see him going one here. His line, again, he could use some pieces, but I don't necessarily drafting a lineman at 6 or 7 even. His defensive line is weak. I mean, Anderson, Alden, everyone else is gone. I mean, he could use linebackers. I mean, so he really could use a lot of defensive pieces, I think, more than offense. So at number 6, we have him going Jesus Vandermeide, left outside linebacker of Ole Miss. Jesus from Ole Miss out there. And then at number 7, we have him going Andre Ingram, right end from Alabama. So, boom, he's going to have a linebacker now to fill in maybe where Vaughn was. And you'll say, well, you traded Vaughn, but now he's also got 2 third-rounders. He can do something, maybe add some pieces, because he's got a lot of holes over there. He's got some top-heavy, expensive pieces, but yeah, he needs to fill in some holes in the back end. So yeah, and then he puts Ingram down there in the defense. That'll give him that much more of a chance to get pressure up front. And I think he have a better chance on defense. We know Dustin can score points. It's the hardest part for him is stopping the other team from scoring points. So, but that being said, that's number 6 and number 7. We'll move on to number 8, and we've got the Bengals. Meow Chaser. He's at 8. He traded for Dak. So he's got a decent quarterback, wide receiver, AJ Green, and getting older, that's speeding. I mean, he's still got the route running, obviously, but it's going to be tougher to get away from guys. You're going to be running some more underneath routes, outs, ins. Paulie Dixon, a big guy, kind of an AJ mold. We know that guy's good. Lee's not bad. Huff a little bit of speed. He's got a burner, McCarron's. I mean, tight end I could see. Again, I mean, he could use, a linebacker is not bad. He got Jalen Smith as well, so DB, I know he would probably like to upgrade there a little. He did sign a couple guys. I know he was in on Waynes, but he was also going crazy about the bid on Waynes. So he drafted a halfback in Swoop. I just look at the receivers. I mean, in that division, you've got KP. His defense is tough. The Browns, even though they had switched after the season, I know he played well with the Cowboys, and that defense has already been built up some from pro. And then you've got James as well, who's, he's not a bad player. He hasn't had that great of luck so far this Madden, but he's a good Madden player. So you need some pieces. You need to be able to score points. And that being said, I think he goes receiver. AJ is 6'4", 207. We see him going Phillip Sherrill, wide receiver, Georgia. I want to say he's 6'2", 215. He's probably similar to AJ Green when he comes out. So I think it'd be a good pick for him. Give him someone else to throw the ball to. We move on to number 9, and we have the Los Angeles Rams. Will Berry down there. He's got some pieces on defense. Obviously Donald. He's done some good things there. He has drafted offensive line. He's got Todd Gurley. He's rolling with Goff, but he needs playmakers. I mean, Goff has no one to throw to. I played him this past season. His defense was good. He played good defense. His defense is tough anyways. But at a certain point, I mean, his offense you couldn't get anything going. You just didn't have any guys really. I mean, Tavon, 93 speed, 92 excel. He's obviously lost a bit because he's 28 too, so he's regressing. And he's not gonna be running deep posts for you all day. So, he's not gonna be running that deep ball necessarily unless you get someone to bite on a play action. So that being said, we've got him going receiver as well. And that is Algernon Murdoch, wide receiver, Notre Dame. That'll give him, I want to say Murdoch is 6'2" as well. I give him a bigger body out there. Give him a playmaker. Someone else for Goff to throw to. His tight ends aren't bad. So you just need more pieces. I mean, if guys know it's Gurley and no one else, then it's hard for Gurley to get free because you can stack the box a little more. Moving on, we've got TC with the Saints at number 10. I know he talked about the possibility that this pick is up on the block. So if you're interested, talk to him. He drafted Groom last year. He's got Jeremy Hill, I mean, Cooks, Landry. He's really, I mean, he's set out at wide receiver. His tight end, I could, possibly Fleener's not bad, but he is getting older. Left tackle, I know he's set at offensive line. So I know he's interested. Maybe looking at his team too. Your D ends, D line. I mean, you could use a pass rusher. Linebackers aren't bad. Obviously, DBs. We all know the Saints need DBs anyways. He could probably, obviously use some secondary help. Now, it's possible I don't know what the corners are like. From what I can see from Madden, they're not very good. But I've heard they're not good, so, there's a chance where you might go corner here if there's someone you really like. If there's someone out there, but otherwise, I mean, he needs a pass rusher. If he stays here at 10, we have him going Taiwan Kaysen, defensive end out of Tennessee. He's not exactly quite a pass rusher in terms of a speed guy, but he's, I want to say 6'6", 3 bills. He's probably more built like a Cameron Jordan. In terms of speed, strength, power moves, you just need to work on the finesse moves. He's a huge dude, but his speed is not bad for his size. So that's someone you're probably getting kind of a similar body to Cameron Jordan and a similar skill set. So moving on, we've got the Broncos at number 11. Ford made some interesting deals last year. He traded away Paxton for, I want to say, a first and a second this year after the draft. I think it was. Maybe it was before the draft. But traded away to Mickey. He traded away Vaughn. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's any else. Those are really the big deals. I mean, he's got Griffin at his quarterback. I could see him going a quarterback here, but then again, I mean, I from playing against Ford and watching some of Ford's moves, I don't necessarily see him going quarterback here, unless there's someone in that draft he's just in love with that is a cap RG3 kind of guy with an arm, basically. He could use a wide receiver. Sanders is gone. Thomas is older. He does have Oman, but he's a 5'10". He's a smaller guy. Terrell Williams, so I could see him getting a playmaker there. He took some tight ends last draft. He could probably use some pieces on the line, offensive line, maybe defensive line. His linebackers aren't bad. DB, Chris Harris still good. Bradley Roby. And then some younger guys, safeties. He's got some good guys. So, what up, man? But he needs a playmaker. He needs someone to help out. Like I said, we talked about with the Chargers, and then you look at his secondary. Chiefs secondary is good. My secondary is good. You're going to need someone to throw to. If Norwood is your nickel guy, it's not going to work out too well for you. Your slot guy. So, that being said, here at 11, we've got him going Rashawn Doolittle, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. I want to say he's 6 foot. I'm trying to remember, but good combine. I want to say he's like the 5th ranked receiver in the draft according to Madden. I think it'd be a good fit here. Gives him someone else to throw to, throw the ball to, and yeah, be a good pick for Ford. Moving on, back-to-back picks now at 12 and 13. We have the Bills. 12 he got from a trade sending Ragland to the Niners, and then 13 is his own pick. I'm not sure, and on all these picks, I'm not in guys' DMs. I'm not asking guys, hey, where are you looking? What are you thinking? I'm just going based on what I see on the roster, what I might think they do, what I've maybe seen they're trying to trade. It's just a guessing game for me, really. And then I go based on where kind of Madden projects guys initially. But Bills, I mean, he's, I'm not sure because he has it's a little interesting. He's offered up, he's got a good defense, but then he traded Raglan. I know Lawson was available. Darius, Ronald Darby. So it makes me wonder. Well, is there someone he really likes at his spots that he's trying to get to fill these positions, or does he think he can take a little lesser guy and fill him in at those spots? But kind of looking at his team and over what he moved, we both agree. Kind of just looking. So at 12, we've got him going Zach Cosson, quarterback out of Notre Dame, fourth quarterback on the board. Tyrod's getting older, and 85 short, 82 medium, 79 deep. I know Dolphins secondary's gotten better, Jets secondary's getting better. Pats, I know he's got a decent secondary. They're getting a little older, but I think his corners are still pretty solid. Tyrod's only getting older. Again, 30 years old. You're not improving on these numbers you're looking at right now. So, you're going to need someone to run that offense. We've got him going Cosson, then doubling back at 13 and replacing Ragland. Preston Brown, 78 speed, 87 excel. Jerry Hughes, Tripp. Have him replacing Ragland. He drafts Branch Sword, middle linebacker out of Auburn. And that's a guy, I think he has a great combine as well. So, put two good pieces. He moved his linebacker, someone a little older in Ragland, got a good pick, was able to move up. Also got a third out of that deal. So, move up, get a linebacker to replace him and a quarterback, and then come back in the third and grab someone else to help your team out. Now we move on. We got the Packers. That's wise Al, actually the Bills. I forgot to shout him out. Move on to the Packers. That's Big Mike Micavelli. He traded away a sixth pick overall. He got Vaughn. His linebackers aren't bad. Connor's pretty good. Clay's getting older. I could see a linebacker here, possibly. But his DBs, you maybe see a reach on a DB here. You're at 14. You start getting those middle of the round. You might consider it. But I think the biggest hole you go look is you look at wide receiver, and this is it. First, he's only got 3. You've got 87 speed or 90 speed, 91 excel, Randall Cobb at 29. So he's going to regress unless you have a monster year. And even then, you're going to have a super year for his speed not to drop. Jordy Nelson at 82, 85's got low end tight end numbers, and Devontae Adams at 87, 93. All right, yeah, I hear you, Bills. All right, what up, Wise? Yeah, exactly. Depends on these plans all change. I had a great plan last year where I was going, and that all went to heck right with the number 1 pick. So, but he needs a wide receiver. Packers needs a receiver. I know he likes to run the ball, but you need someone to throw to when you got Rodgers back there. You can't let him go to waste. So we've got, well, you know what? I say that, but then I forget we've got all of the top-rated receivers already off the board. So, that being said, you might look for him to double back in the second and grab a receiver. Maybe someone he likes. I don't know. I don't know how deep that pool goes, but he could use some offensive linemen. Spriggs ain't bad. Lang's good, but he's getting older. DeGiorgio is good. Tomlinson's not bad. Bakhtiari's alright, but that run blocking, that's low, and you're not going to improve that. We both got him going Marcus Spikes. I want to say he's the 5th overall prospect, best tackle in the draft. Right tackle out of Louisville. Give someone to protect for Rodgers, and then come back and maybe get someone for Rodgers to throw to in the second or third. Like I said, we've got all the top targets gone. After that, we would be in the second round, guys. So, so that's Mike. Moving on, we got Mickey next. I don't know if he's in here. Mickey got this at 15. He got this pick via the Lions. This is where he traded Miles Jack Sent him off for, I think, a first this year and a first next to Detroit. So, and this is a guy who won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, lost by a points in the AFC Championship this year. So he's not exactly hurt, and he picked up Batch last year. Batch, Valkyrie, he's not a bad running back. I don't know if you really want to run with him. I know he let Yeldon go. Wide receiver wise, he's not bad. Robinson's hurt. Reese, he picked up. That was a good draft pick for him in the second round last year. The tight end spot, he kind of runs Niles Pauls. I know he signed Demetrius Harris. His line's not bad. I know he'd like to improve on his offensive line, but I don't know if I see him going here at 15. But really, I mean, kind of looking, he signed some corners to put next to Ramsey. It's not, I mean, he's got a good roster. So, that being said, we look at it, I don't think he really likes Batch that much. You're going to run with him every down. He did sign Darius Jackson, so that's kind of a wild card, because the guy is bigger with his trucking. But again, he's also 25, so he's going to be harder to improve on things. So here at 15, we got him going Jacob Stallings, running back out of Auburn. Big back, a bruiser. This is going to be like a Dyer type, and I think it'd be a good fit here for Mickey. The way he likes to play, his style, the way he runs the ball, that'd be a good fit for him. Put a big back there and start pounding guys. At 16, we've got the Patriots, so we're just about halfway through. Obviously, I mean, wide receivers, he hasn't done a bad job. He could use one, but again, the top guys are gone here. Gronk is getting older, but he has Derby behind him, and Gronk's still effective. Line, he could use offensive line, though he's got a bunch of guys out here at tackle. He could probably kicks one in, but still, he could use some line. But I don't necessarily see him going line at 16. I know his defense is getting a little older. His D-line is, older and not very talented at the tackle spots. He's got Jabal Sheard, Ian Williams, you could move in there. Ecker, a speed rusher. I mean, that being said, for him, the strength, Ian Williams, you really need someone to probably put at the nose. Or if you're running the 4-3, you need a couple guys down there. So with that, we've got him going Lorenzo Hawley, defensive tackle out of Miami, and that's your first 16 picks. I don't think anything crazy. There's no real reaches, maybe until we get towards the end here coming up. But of course, this is all based on Madden's draft board before you scout and make your own board. Now, obviously, I've scouted some of these guys I'm going through, but why am I going to tell you all my secrets, man? No, I'm just kidding. It just makes it when, I do see a need there, and I've scouted a guy who's already would go there, it makes sense. But, so yeah. But let's move on. We got Rich and the Dolphins. Out of the Patriots, that's what's his dang PSN name now? I can't think of it. But Greer, something Greer. BGZ, I think is what it is. But we've got Rich and the Dolphins. He loves defense. He's got a good offense. He's got Williamson. He's got I think a third-year quarterback, Parker. He's got a couple pieces at wide receiver. His offensive line is good. But the guy I know loves defense. He took a stud in Dudley last year. The year before, he got a pass rusher in Hoskins. He's got Sue. But you look at his linebackers. Okay, gonna have bad guys at the left spot. Middle linebacker, Mario Davis. No one really jumps out. I mean, the right outside backer, he's got rushing. Now, that guy, he picked up around, I want to say, 8-17 last season in the draft. His corners have gotten better. He had Howard. He traded for Jackson, who had a good year. His man's up through the roof now. So, and the Frost, this guy was a kick returner, had a good year, and now look at him, he's a good cornerback for him. Again, maybe if there's someone there who really likes, he could go cornerback here, but I think he goes linebacker. He likes defense anyways. He needs a piece in the middle. Alonzo's getting older and slower. So he's going with the second middle linebacker off the board. That's B.J. McMullen, middle linebacker from Florida State University. Give him someone in the middle, and I mean that defense is going to be stacked throughout. Moving on. Hey, knock it off and be nice to one another. Sorry about that. I have to go whoop some ass here in a minute. We keep it up. Nah, that ain't that bad. But so we got Boss up. The Texans. No, Boss has been real busy. He's been MIA a lot. I know he's pretty sure they're supposed to be having him and his lady are having a baby here in a few weeks. 3 weeks or something. So I know, if any of you have kids and your lady, you know what that last month or two is like. So, good luck to him. Hope everything works out. Everyone's healthy. But he's got Osweiler, who's actually not bad. Quick dev too, because he had good years early on. The first year with him, the guy who originally owned the team the first season. Lamar Miller is still solid at 28. He drafted a ton of linebackers last year with that line. Jalen Strong, Braxton. I mean, I don't necessarily see him going receiver here early. If anything, maybe he takes one late. But he needs offensive line. You go through, we look in here. There's no one really on that line. There's not any. I mean, there's a decent guy. Nick Martin's not bad, but they're a little older, so we have him taking tackle. I have him going Ross Ebert, left tackle, Wisconsin. I want to say he's the 6th overall prospect. Dustin, we differed very rarely, but this one he had differed. He said Chris Willis, right tackle, Texas A&M. So, and then we have the Cardinals at number 19. He could use some offensive line. I do know he likes to run the ball. Of course, he could also kick in probably one of these tackles down in there. Wide receivers are not bad. Obviously, he's got David Johnson. He's got the Fisher Rose as quarterback. But really, we'll take you right over here now, and you look, and at defensive back, he has 2 guys. That's it, just 2. Unless he's going to move Tyron down there, which I think he might have. But even then, if you've got, Tyron Pearson and Brandon Williams is not bad. But Williams' coverage skills, and he's 26 at this point. So that being said, we actually have the first cornerback off the board. Not everyone's second round, but there's like the top 5 guys we went through. The best looking combine, because it had a couple greens on it, was Kenny Moy, defensive back out of USC. I want to say he was 5'11". So add a piece out there. You're gonna have, if you're gonna get to the Super Bowl, you're gonna have suites to go through. You got to play defense and stop the run anyways with the Seahawks, who've kind of won that. Panthers are getting better. Riggs is out there, so get him another DB and to be able to. What are you doing? Crazy kids. Give him another DB so he can slow guys down, and at this point, I think a DB at 19. If that guy is combine, don't look bad. So maybe one of those guys are okay. I'm not sure. It might be the guy. There was another guy. It was kind of similar right there with him in the top 5. I want to say so. But that being said, we got the Browns at number 20. This is Havoc. He moved over from the Cowboys. I believe he likes to run more of a 4-3 based on what I saw from the Cowboys. Kind of how he had it set up. So we've got him going the number 1 guy on the board, Riley Corliss, defensive end out of Texas. We know he's got Nielsen from our pro was there. He does have Robert Quinn and Agba, but I could see him moving. He was talking about moving Quinn anyway, so maybe picking up this guy, put him down at end with Poe and Brockers in the middle, or Gritton. So give him another pass rusher. Get out there and get after guys. You need to play defense in that north. But now we move on. We got Paz at 21, the New York Jets. Good year. Look, he likes to fling it. We know that. Sling that rock around. He has a good defense. He had a good draft last year. You got some guys that really they fell. They shouldn't have been available where he picked or where he got them at. But Lloyd, the DB, granted he's 25. He was a little older, but I mean, with his skills, that was a steal. And then he got a wide receiver, Guyton, to add to his bigger bodies. But we'll take one page over and we'll go to tight ends, and you can see he does not have any tight ends. He likes to throw the ball. He does like to throw to the tight end. Fourier had a good year for him. So that being said, we have him taking Gmfl, tight end out of Florida State. I want to say he's a second round projected by Madden and their little rankings. But he was a combine warrior. So, for a guy who likes to fling the ball, and he's I think the fastest tight end and good at acceleration and all that kind of stuff. This is where I kind of reach a little and take a stab, but I see him going Flynn, the tight end out of Florida State. Moving on, we got the Panthers. He had a good season. He had a good draft last year too. He got a lot of pieces. Had a good off season. But he still has a hole or two at offensive line, and I do know he likes to run the ball. So I can see him going offensive line here. And at 22, we have B. Hyman going Brandon Frick, left guard out of Louisville. So give him another piece there and get some blocking up front, give him some more time, and give him a better chance to run the football with Walters. We got Riggs coming up at 23. He made the deal. He traded his first rounder last year, got Melvin Gordon. A wide receiver, he's got Roseman, he's got Evans, he's got Sharon Peak, who I know he likes. Tight end, he's not bad with Jenkins. Winston, we know about him. He could use a DB, but again, I don't know. I mean, Moy going at 19 might be a bit of a reach. I mean, maybe here again if that guy's available, but I just don't see anyone out there worth probably a first rounder for the most part. So his DBs aren't terrible, decent speed. I know his safeties he's not mad about. So that being said, we go tackle. He needs line help. I mean, he does have a couple guys, and they're also 78 strength. They'll get bowled over. They don't have great blocking. His guard, Robinson. We've got him going tackle. I've got him going Prentice. Yeah, make sure you pronounce the R. Prentice Lane, right tackle, Nebraska. He's got him going Ross Ebert, left tackle, Wisconsin. At 24, we've got the Bears again via the Ravens. He traded away Leonard Floyd for this pick, and I want to say a third-round pick from the Ravens. And the Bears, we talked about his defense. We had him go quarterback so he could address the offense. I think his offense is pretty complete. Maybe getting an offensive lineman here or there, but he did pick up a decent young guy off of Sweets. Defensively, he can use some work, especially in the secondary. Cornerbacks, his safeties aren't, very good necessarily. So we have him drafting Taiwan Chancellor, free safety out of New Mexico. I want to say the dude's about 6 foot, fast. Be a good fit for him here. At 25, we have Pro and the Cowboys. Now, Pro's a 3-4 guy. I know he was selling off 4-3 guys. He actually traded Randy Gregory to the Bears, actually, I think. Let me look. Now that I think about it. Was it to the Bears? Yeah, to the Bears. So he moved him to outside linebacker, back out to outside linebacker to run him in probably the 3-4 there. Pro didn't necessarily just didn't fit how Pro likes to run his 3-4. I know looking at the Cowboys, Pro likes bigger bodies. I mean, you look over at the Browns. He had Poe, Gritton. I mean, he had about 9,000 pounds of guys up there on the 3. So you go D tackle. Billings is a good nose. He's strong. He's huge. But you go to end. I mean, Fryer's not bad. But you got some. You got some smaller. Not smaller, but just Blockchain's not bad. Power, finesse, strength. That's all right. But a lot slower there. Let's see, where's he got it left in? Tyrone Crawford. Now, Crawford's not bad. He's pretty good, but he's getting older. So we've got Pro taken to Michael Royster, defensive end out of Vanderbilt. I want to say the dude's like 6'4", 6'6". Again, 300 bills. Good combine. I want to say he's strong, and not bad speed. So that'll be a good fit for Pro. Going to 26, we got the Vikings. They're CPU right now. But mocking them anyways, and then knowing CPU, they need a running back. Peterson is older, 86, 85. I mean, his stats are still good, but he's just getting a little slower, and if you're not comfortable with running with that. McKinnon is all right. Not bad. His ball carrying, but 27. Sweeting, he's not bad, but I could see him going a running back here, and we have him going Javonte Bettis, running back from LSU, but they're CPU right now. So at 27, we have Chosen and the Titans. The Titans teams, for those who've been here, Hubie had them the first couple seasons. He built them up. I mean, they're a good team. They got a good offensive line. Henry, Mariota, stacked at receiver with Warmack and Prude. His tight ends aren't bad. So I go the defensive side of the ball. His defensive line is not bad. He's got a good defensive line. You maybe see a piece here. His linebackers are kind of lacking a little here, and it depends on what he wants to do. He could go secondary again, but like we've talked about, I don't necessarily see anything secondary-wise that's overwhelming based on combines and stuff. So we agree that he'll go linebacker, and he will take Trayvon Sterling, the middle linebacker out of Penn State. A bigger guy, again, I want to say he's a Sterling, I think 6 foot or so. Big guy. Not necessarily fastest guy, but strong. I mean, probably a thumper. Someone you can put in the middle and just going to be a tackling machine for you. I wouldn't be surprised if you move Feeney back to outside linebacker. So moving on, we got the Chiefs at 28. That's Nick. He's newer. Let's count Ait. He joined late too. He's got Bortles. I mean, he could use a receiver here, but again, he could get by, and I don't with Conley, Wilson, Hill. Holloway's not bad. He kind of likes that guy. So I could see him maybe reaching here if one of those guys is left, or if there's someone else he likes. But I know he does need a running back. He signed Abdullah, who's not bad actually. 89 speed, 95 excel, quick dev. So this pick might be a little off, but I know he wasn't enamored with Henry. We've got him going Marquise Warner, running back out of Lehigh. Excuse me, my voice is cracking over here. Running back out of Lehigh. I mean, this is a guy, he's got a good 40. He's probably, a Latavius Murray type clone. So not a bad guy if you can get him at 28. Coming up at 29, we got Ford and the Broncos again. This is the pick he got from the Jaguars via the Paxton Lynch deal. This is where I got my deep reach. We know he could use probably a defensive back. He's got Harris, Roby, but Ziegler and Hickman, these guys, 72 man, 77 zone, 69 zone. Nothing crazy about him, speed or anything. So at 29, I got him going Combine, Warrior, Al Davis, give me the fastest guy. Kendrick Huggins, defensive back from Buffalo. I want to say he's 6'1 or 6'2. Fast, just he's gonna be one of those guys. Ford's the type, if someone like me maybe took him, I don't know if I'd be able to develop him, but Ford will get 8 picks, 9 picks with him, and he'll be a top 10, 15 corner next season, Madden wise, and he will be the way he uses them anyways. But so that's where we go. And the guy, I want to say he ran like a 4.3 something 40. It's crazy. I just fastest DB, and I mocked him at Ford at this second pick. This is his reach pick now. He was happy with his first one. Seahawks, he likes to run the ball. Seattle doesn't have a great offensive line. He did make some moves there, but we know Seattle's line isn't exactly stout to begin with. Veldier, he's got some, a decent younger guy. Hunt, but he could use a tackle. I've got him going Chris Willis, right tackle out of Texas A&M. And Dustin had him going Prentice Lane, right tackle from Nebraska. And then moving on, we got the Skins. Now, I know he said Kirk was OTB. Now, I could see a quarterback, if there's one here he liked. But he does have Sudfeld, who is not, he's 25, 84 short, 82 medium, 72 deep. So unless he sees someone that much better, he might run this guy out there. And with his receivers, Julio, Doxson, and Will Fuller, plus Carrington, this guy he's developed, you're gonna have a fun time out there in the NFC. But he needs some line, defensive line. Right in Ioannidis. I mean, you can move him in at the tackle spot, but left end Ridgeway. Chris Baker's getting older at the defensive tackle spot. So we have him going Marcus Fulton, defensive tackle from The Ohio State University. And at 32, you have me, the Oakland Raiders. We're already at defensive tackle. Overall, I mean, I'm not bad at most spots. Obviously, you can always use a playmaker somewhere or a defensive guy, anything. But Dan Williams is getting older. I got Calhoun, who's not bad. But I probably really need to replace Williams here. This is definitely probably his last season. He's just getting so slow too. He'll be able to just stand there as long as you don't run left or right. He'll be fine. So I'm going defensive tackle as well, and I've got Dalvin Ridley, defensive tackle from Penn State. And there you go, guys. That's your mock. If you've tuned in or out and checked it out, I appreciate it. If you're catching it, you're going to listen to it before the draft. Sounds good. I mean, I always, as we go through the first round, I'm going to write down next to your names who you actually drafted. I think I had like 5 right last draft, so it's not great. But again, like I said, I'm not DMing you guys trying to find out what your secret pick. I'm not talking to front office people like Schefter over here or something, man. I'm just looking and guessing, So, but again, I'll touch on it again while I'm here. Draft is it's at 8 p.m. Eastern. We will be advancing to the end of free agency at 7:30. At 8, we'll advance to, you go from there right to the draft page, and then we'll start the draft. If you're going to be at the draft and you haven't already, please go to the calendar, check on the calendar that you will be going or not going. Because if you're checked not going, I'll put you on auto, and it'll be easier for us as we go through the draft. If you're going, then good, I know, and you don't have to worry about getting skipped or something unless you tell me later, I'm done for the draft. I'm going to keep a list of who's not there so we can skip them. What else? Oh, yes, the formats. In the first round, obviously the guys I already know who are not going will be skipped through. But if you haven't checked, the reason I say that is because if you haven't checked yes or no, we're gonna let your time play out. If your 2 minutes or whatever it is goes up and you don't make the pick and the computer makes the pick, I'm going to assume you're not drafting then, since you didn't check yes, you're going to be there, and I will begin skipping you in round 2. So if you, like I said, if you're going to be at the draft, please check on the board so you don't get skipped. I will also be tagging this when we advance at 7:30 Eastern. As for the draft, we'll begin skipping round 2s, or skipping guys come round 2 on top of the guys that already aren't there. Once we get to round 5, picks will be 30 seconds. So please be prepared. Again, I will tag all this information before the draft again, but please be prepared. 30 seconds. We want to get this draft moving. I mean, it's Saturday night. Yeah, for me it's not a big deal. I'm gonna sit at home. I'm married, you know. I'm not going out tonight. Maybe go out in a couple weeks. I'm golfing tomorrow morning. You know, that's my big day. But I know some of y'all, and even me sometimes, I'll be going out on the weekends occasionally. So, you know, maybe you guys want to go out after the draft. For me, if I went out, it's still not a bad time. I could get out for the night. So let's get it moving. You know, 30 seconds, 5 through 7. At that point, I mean, you should know, hey, this guy's still available. I'm gonna take him. You know, be prepared, because that 30 seconds is up and we skip you. I don't want to hear screaming and hollering. Other than that, again, preseason 10 minutes. You get 1 free agent per week. Injuries, of course, will be off. We'll sim it. 10 minutes, 1 free agent per week. Once free agency hits, it'll be a free for all. Though, yeah, I think that we'll just leave it like that. It's a free for all once free agency hits. And then what else was I going to say? So 1 free agent per week in preseason, free for all once free agency hits. Practice squads, which it won't matter, but I'm going to tell you guys, they're going to be on lock because we can turn them off. Practice squad stealing off. It's going to be on lock for the first 24 hours of the regular season. So once we hit the regular season, whatever time that may be when I advance to it tonight, I will give you 24 hours to set your practice squads, put who you want on your rosters before I open up practice squad stealing. That way guys don't steal someone because you missed the draft. Your computer put your 5th round stud out there and you lost him. So other than that, again, I'll be tagging all this info before the draft. Let's have a good draft, man, and let's have a good season 4. And don't forget to post pictures, man. We all want to see the studs, and we want to see the busts too. Hey, look, I've drafted busts. Sometimes we take risks, okay? So other than that, I'll talk to you guys later.